Okie dokie, so news of the day type thing as we're a couple hours away from puck drop for tonight, so there's some stuff to talk about. First off, Lou Lamoriello has come out and said Josh Ho-Sang has requested a trade. Noteworthy, he no-showed his first AHL practice with Bridgeport. It's like, no, not going. Now, if you're looking to be traded, A, you just cleared waivers if you're Ho-Sang, and B, you're no showing a practice for the American Hockey League. I don't know how this ends. And that's an interesting question. So I posed this to fans who think that Ho-Sang belongs in the NHL. Which team would look at those two things, A, requesting a trade, and B, no showing practice for an AHL team, and say, yeah, all right, we'll put him, because again, they could have had him for free. They could have had him on waivers for nothing, and they said, we'll pass. So Ho-Sang, I get a feeling he may end up going to Europe. I'm not sure what ends up happening here because I don't think he has any trade value, and I think this hurts it. Because one of the reasons he won't have the trade value is because he's seen as having a poor attitude, and that's not going to help that narrative. Regardless of the reason why he didn't report, regardless of whatever reasoning he may have, that definitely doesn't help. Larsson has been put on the LTIR by the Edmonton Oilers, which means they've called up Bouchard. The interesting thing is Evan Bouchard gets called up, and Ethan Bear has been sent down to the American Hockey League. Kind of a surprise to me. Bear had a very strong preseason, and yet Larsson gets hurt, and now Bouchard's getting called up. So some changes already in Edmonton after Game 1. A game that they actually were victorious in shows me that Dave Tippett and Ken Holland are zeroing in on some issues with this team already, and they're going to work on getting it fixed. Because while they beat the Canucks last night, they weren't necessarily the better team. So some interesting moves being made by the Oilers already. The Flames have extended Brad Treliving's time as general manager. They signed him to a multi-year extension. This to me makes a lot of sense. It was a very good season for Calgary last year. Treliving's been a very solid general manager, and so giving him an extension, yeah, of course you will. The Flames have every reason to do so. Toronto news, Timothy Liljegren sent to the American Hockey League, so the news that maybe his making the team wasn't quite as solid as Sandin's or Mikheyev's. Yeah, that's the case. He gets sent down already. Nick Patan's been called up, and of course, I'm going to throw this into the news because it did happen. John Tavares did get the C. There was some fanfare, but nowhere near the amount of fanfare that you would have expected for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because again, they decided this a while ago that Tavares was going to be the captain, but they wanted to make sure that this got done kind of quietly, and it was done for the opening night, so it's over with. Tavares was supposedly decided upon as the captain before all the other trash happened, but that's all said and done now. He's got the C, and we can move along. Vancouver Canucks news. Jim Bennings announced that it'll be late November is when they're projecting Antoine Roussel to get back. Part of the reason that Berchi got sent down was a cap issue, and whether they'll admit it or not, that likely played some part of a role in it. And now, when Roussel gets back, we'll see how things shake down with the Canucks and whether there's further roster moves to be made. I would be very surprised if they're not active this year with trades anyways. Erik Karlsson's return date to the Sharks is uncertain. We still are not exactly sure why. We know it's a personal matter. And, again, hope everything's well with him. But that is a huge problem for the Sharks if he's going to be out for any extended period of time. Anybody else who got hurt last night was on the ice today. Meyer and LeBanc as examples of that. So they were on the ice for practice, so hopefully everything's okay there. And hopefully Karlsson's back relatively quickly. But they're not giving a time frame of that. Last night, and this is noteworthy, Ryan O'Reilly did pass the 500-point mark for the St. Louis Blues, scoring points 500 and 501, both of them assists in that game against the Washington Capitals. So congratulations to him on a milestone. And I would imagine he'll get another, I'd say 65, 70 points this year before the season's over. Senators news. Brandstrom might be stitched up, but he's going to stay in the game. So he took a scary skate to the face moment last night, but he did get stitched up and come back into the game. They're not anticipating he's going to miss any time. And Mikkel Bodker, who was scratched for Game 1, is penciled in for Game 2. And it looks like one of the kids isn't going to play instead. So we'll see what actually ends up happening. But if Batherson is the one that gets scratched, that seems to be the way things are going to work out from how the practice lines were today. But yeah, so Bodker will be back in the lineup next game. They definitely need somebody who can score points, and Bodker has proven in the past that he can do that. As we look into openers, Ovechkin has played 15 openers. He now has 11 goals because he had a goal last night. Parise, who's playing tonight, in 13 openers, he has 10 goals. And Austin Matthews in four seasons, 4 opening games, he has 9. This is the leaders among the current players in the National Hockey League overall. It's an astounding number for Matthews, and it's one of those reasons why people get all excited about Austin Matthews, is because he starts the season very well. So there you go. Just some news and tidbits from around the league today, all squashed together for another news video for you fine people. They're all individual items that don't necessarily warrant their own video, and here they are on the board. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.